Hello, everyone. So I'm going to keep my ugly mug out of the shot for most of the video because I'm just here to talk about these beautiful microphones from Austrian Audio. I don't do gear reviews. I most of the time don't enjoy watching hacks do reviews on gear that they get sent to them and then end up selling later anyway or never use. So this is not a paid review. They did not give me these mics. I'm just talking about it because I think it's cool. That being said, Austrian Audio, they make killer mics anyway.
This is their modern take on a dual diaphragm, dual output condenser microphone.
And what that means for anybody that doesn't really know, instead of having one diaphragm, it has two, and you can record both diaphragms at the same time. It has dual outputs on it. You can see the XLR on the back, and then you have a output on the back here, which you can do both at the same time. And I won't get super in depth on the cardioid stuff if you don't know what that means, but or the pattern stuff. But I'll run it down for you. So microphones like an SM57 have a forward-facing diaphragm, and the diaphragm only picks up signal from one direction. That's called cardioid. Now you have different patterns. That's what's called the polar pattern. You have different patterns like omnidirectional, which is a full circle. If you think about the visionary part of it, and it picks up everything around it. Then you have figure eight, which is where essentially it would be just the sides and nothing in front and back. So that aside, having microphones that let you select multiple patterns is nothing super new. Um, but doing it with finesse and making it more ergonomic and making it sound incredible, by the way, is awesome. And I think Austrian Audio nailed it with this one. So, uh, for room setups, we all know there's a few techniques. I'll explain that too. There's certain techniques you can do when miking up a source in a room to get stereo field effects. So, you have something called a mid side pattern, you have a stereo pattern, and then you have a Blumline setup, which they all differ in how you set up the microphones physically. And it takes a little work to get them there. And if you want to try out all three for a certain source, it's a little bit of a process. And usually your best bet is just to set up. If you want to try, say, mid side and stereo, just have two different sources. So you'd have four different mics to try do two different things. This is where Austrian Audio comes in. So all of those techniques for stereo miking and getting a stereo source can be done with one position in one setup. Austrian Audio makes some software that lets you essentially take this setup, record all four diaphragms at once with what they call a quadraphonic setup or quad busing recording. And most DAWs just support that. You have to kind of do some research to maybe figure out how to set that up, but it's not hard, I promise. It has to do with your surround settings.
What happens is you record the source, and after you record the source with the four diaphragms, you can use the software to decide which stereo array you like, mid-side, Blumline, stereo, whichever, and then you can decide how to orient the diaphragms. You can rotate them, and you can choose how narrow the cardioid is, all the way to almost omni to like you can rotate it, and it's really phenomenal.
The possibilities are limitless with this. And it's just such a cool idea because, having to try to set up for a few different sources all at once, or having to come back down, move things again, get it where you want it for another technique, and then only to find out you didn't like that one as much to go back to the other one, and then realize you can't get it back in the same spot. Because when I'm in the studio and I'm dialing it in, like I don't want stuff to move if it sounds good. And if I have to move it, it sucks because then when I want to try to put it back, it's never the same. I'll beat myself up over that. On top of that, this is Bluetooth. You can change your polar pattern, which you see on the front here, all these switches. You got your polar pattern options, you have a pad, and then you have your high pass. So you can control all those via Bluetooth. And I don't have the dongle for it. There's a piece of gear you have to buy for it from them, and you control it with an app. So it saves you, my control room's upstairs. It saves me from having to run down here, hit a button, go back upstairs, only to find out I don't like it, then come back down and hit it again. It's incredible. But I'm not that fancy, so I didn't I didn't splooge on that one. But literally just made this video to talk about how awesome these things are, and not only that, they sound incredible. They sound so good. it's like a AKG, like a 414, same idea, but on steroids. And it's just not as harsh to me. Very smooth and killer mics. Nothing more than just to say they're awesome. Again, Austrian audio, check them out. Killer mics. These sound incredible. I'm so stoked on these mics. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed nerding out a little bit. Uh, Take care.